we think of it as creator economy, but we always talk about curator economy. And the type of creator that we work with is much more trusted for their curation than the content that they create. We're saying like we're building the infrastructure for the future of curated commerce.
We're trying to empower people to easily share their recommendations and for brands to be a part of that.
Hi everybody, welcome to Inspired. I'm Alex Von Tobel. The creator economy has exploded. That is no secret to anyone. But one big question has been left unanswered, which is how do you turn authentic recommendations into real business results? While most people focus on follower counts, 3 MIT and Harvard grads saw a different opportunity. Today I'm joined by 2 of ShopMy's co-founders, Rein, the CEO, and Tiffany Lopinsky, the president, and by Cameron, my fellow Inspired teammate, who also serves on ShopMy's board with me. ShopMy is a platform that helps creators share the products they loved and helps brands turn those recommendations into sales. ShopMy today now powers almost 200,000 of your best influencers and creators in the world and more than 1,000 brands, ranging from brands like Prada to Chanel to Lululemon. In this episode, you'll hear how Harry and Tiffany cracks the code on what we call curator commerce. You'll also learn why AI will make human recommendations more valuable than ever in the future when our internet is filled with noise. And you'll learn how their newest product, Circles, is reinventing social discovery. This is the moment when shopping becomes personal again. Let's dive in.
If you're running a startup, we know things like managing equity and communicating with investors are always top of mind. Carta has built a connected suite of tools that over 40,000 companies use to do just that. Their platform of software and services helps you lay the groundwork so you can focus on building. To learn more or get started, visit carta.com.
And with that, Cameron and I are extremely excited to welcome Team ShopMy, Harry and Tiffany. Welcome. We're so excited to have you on today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
First of all, it's been an absolute joy to get to work with you guys the last many years. Harry and Tiffany, I want to go and just start straight from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about the origin story of founding ShopMy years ago. How'd you guys come together? What did those conversations look like? Let's start at the beginning.
Great. Yeah, we'll start with the company that we met at. So for about 2 years before we started ShopMy, I was working at a company, a startup, as the first engineer. And the concept of the startup was price comparison on the internet. So think you're buying toilet paper, paper towels, and we're going to show you where to buy it: Walmart, Target, Amazon, etc. So it was a huge cataloging issue, live pricing, and we built a mobile app, a web app, and over the first year, we started to have a lot more complexity on the catalog side. So that's where Tiffany came in as our first product hire and kind of jack of all trades, internal management side of things. And Tiffany, you want to explain how you ended up there?
Yeah, so I always say Harry has been wanting to start a company since he's been like 12, and I just kind of stumbled into it. So it was my first startup experience. And yeah, I was a product manager and kind of never looked back, but I feel like we learned so much working there about product market fit and team and everything that we have really taken onto ShopMy.
Tiffany, you were a influencer creator. Talk a little bit about, just first of all, give us your high stats, but then also just give us a sense of how that really helped inform and shape your leadership of ShopMy.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I basically started an Instagram called Boston Foodies, and it was in the very early days of people making Instagram accounts and the idea of influencers, and it just really informed my understanding of the space. So at the time, I was working as a research assistant, making $20 an hour or whatever, and I had just started to, for fun, share the places I was going out to eat in Boston and started to build an audience. And I remember the first time that Open Table reached out to me and they were like, we'll pay you $5,000 to post 5 restaurants in Boston. And I was just so mind blown by that and kind of like, how do they even know that it's worth $5,000 to pay me? So then learning about how it works, how you get paid, how brand deals work. And I think more importantly, learning, I just loved food so much. So I was excited for me to share it. And I feel like my audience connected with that. And the same elements of that you see with influencers across all different categories. So it just informed just how I think about the space, ability to connect with creators and understand all the things that they're balancing. So like the content creation side, the deal side of it, and how to make it all work together.
And Harry, on your end, Tiffany just mentioned how you've always wanted to start a company, and then in high school, you started a local tutoring company with your friend. So it seems like this has been a constant in your life. Can you just talk a bit about where that stems from?
For sure. Yeah, I've it's funny. I've been like an incredibly ambitious child for a long time, and it's kind of hard to figure out exactly where it started, but it came a little bit from sports growing up. It was me, my brother, my mom, and my dad, and every kind of dinner was about, did you win the game? How do you perform? So there was like this drive to be incredibly competitive there. And then my parents are both psychologists, so they love reading, and I kind of got this like bug of reading about psychology that evolved into reading about business and reading about leadership. And I remember on vacation I was reading like Four Steps to Epiphany, and my friends were laughing at me. And it's just that kind of blend of like business knowledge with competitiveness obviously like sets you up to be an entrepreneur. And when it came to the high school tutoring company, we so my dad is actually, he's a therapist, but he runs his own practice, so he's like an entrepreneur. And I kind of grew up with the idea you're either an entrepreneur or you go work at a job. And obviously I thought that the entrepreneur path was a much more like fun, engaging path. So we started this tutoring company where obviously a lot of smart kids in high school figure out that the hack to make money is to teach SAT math. And I think actually Tiffany taught SAT math for free, so that's the difference in our philosophies.
Yeah,
But
I was volunteering, and Harry was building a crazy business.
so me and my friend Jack, we decided let's take all the like kids from our advanced math class and market it as Hingham High Tutoring, and we teach SAT math. And we would charge 40, 50 an hour to the end, to the mom or dad who was paying, and then we would pay them 20, 30 an hour. And we kind of scaled this little tutoring company. We had no concept of technology. It was all offline, but that's when we learned about really like leverage and how you could build a system that runs without you. And a funny anecdote there is, so we called it Hingham High Tutoring. We had no affiliation with Hingham High. So one day we're sitting in our class, and me and my friend Jack had called in the principal's office and like scolded for using the high school name in our tutoring company. But obviously we didn't listen, and we left it next year. So um, our first minor success.
Harry, before we like dive into the real core of ShopMy, what it is, what it's growing into, um, one big compliment I want to give you is you are a phenomenally talented engineer. And actually, one of my favorite parts of working with you has been the times we've like sidebarred, and all of a sudden I'm like in the guts of code trying to help you figure out where something is. Talk a little bit about being a founder CEO who's also a CTO, and what that's like for you, and kind of how you think about that as a superpower.
Yeah, I mean, building a company is just like building anything. You have everyone has in their mind like the set of tools that they can use to build something. And when you have a computer science background and you can build technology, that is typically the hammer that you go for. And it's an incredibly powerful hammer, especially with AI now. Like the amount of things you can solve through technology is extraordinary. When you just have the business side, you have people, you have systems, you have like a very different toolkit. So having both in your head at all times, you get to run through the most efficient way to solve it. Sometimes it's like, okay, let's spend a month to build a system to do recruiting as opposed to like an AI system versus hiring three recruiters. And that becomes very valuable to build an efficient company versus always only having one mindset versus the other. The funny thing with me learning coding, and like an anecdote to anyone getting started with coding, is I came to MIT and had never, honestly, never knew about coding. And everyone in my school had been coding since they were 10, 12, something like that. So I was the worst coder in MIT for the first year. And what that meant was I had to do all the boring work. So I had to do the styling of the website and like how buttons tied together while everyone else was doing APIs and pipelines and everything. But what over time, what that meant was I eventually learned all the other side of things, but I still had the skill set to build UI, UX, and all the side that you could argue is boring, but is really like the thing that matters. And again, back to the toolkit idea, like you have the UI, UX, the deep like data pipelining understanding, the machine learning understanding, the business understanding. And I like to think of it as like there's a full stack coder and then there's a full stack entrepreneur. And I was always trying to be a real full stack entrepreneur. I was really deep in engineering and products, but I was broad in terms of finance and all the other aspects.
I love that. One of the things we often find as a superpower is when a CEO could also be a CTO because you can move so much faster at how you think about product iteration and build. Let's transition a little bit to ShopMy. When we met you years ago, ShopMy was in a different place to where it is today. So let's kind of rewind. Let's talk a little bit about sort of the thesis behind ShopMy from your point of view. And then Cam, I know we can share sort of our point of view, but let's rewind a few years. Where were you?
I could start. The
Go for it.
and it's going to be very different than Tiffany because Tiffany obviously spoke about understanding the way that brands think of growing through content creators and people with reach. And for me, it was more, again, we came from a commerce background, and I found it fascinating that a lot of content creators felt the only way they could monetize their reach was by building their own brands. And as a result, you had 60 moisturizer brands that were probably very similar moisturizers. And I always thought it was frustrating that these people with influence and reach couldn't just promote the absolute best moisturizer. We already have solved that problem and get the same financial reward as if it was theirs. So that's 30, 40% margin, sometimes even more. And could we build a world in which you could promote anything you wanted and earn as if it was your product? And our first, like the vision at least I had in the beginning was much less about, hey, affiliate marketing's broken or creator marketing's broken. It was more like commerce and promoting commerce products is broken, and there's a product that could exist that we can build. And paralleled with a lot of what Tiffany thinks about the market is kind of where we ended up finding our sweet spot over time.
Yeah. And I think the looking back on the early days, so much of what the company has evolved into, weren't thinking about. And I think this was a lesson we learned from Popcart that product market fit at the beginning is the most important thing. So we got the product to a point where the monetization aside, we knew that it was going to be very useful for them because the first thing that we launched with the core piece of it was influencers didn't have a place where they could put their products. Like, there was an Amazon storefront, there's other tools, and everything had this wall around it. You couldn't have one place for everything, and no one wanted to build their own websites anymore. So just being able to start with that and have something that people were excited about, and it wasn't necessarily like they were making a ton of money off of it at the beginning, but we built a group of people and we listened to them, and that was what we were confident in. And even before we launched the product and went live with it, we'd talked to probably 100 influencers, like all together, learning like, what are you using now? What's missing? How can we help? And obviously having like Harry's incredible engineering talent and being able to build so quickly, that was like our biggest advantage. Like you can't almost do the big things first. You have to do something small and very useful first. And then all the big things come after when you have a group of people who like really love your product.
So I remember when we first met back in 2022, you were almost exclusively focused on dermatologists and skincare creators. And today, the network is dramatically bigger, 175,000 creators. Can you take us through how you strategically scaled the network?
Yeah, I mean, I think we started with beauty because we felt like there was a white space there. You can't just go into fashion. There were more players. It's not as easy to get into. But I think it was, looking back on it, so smart because we served them so well. Like we did everything of found every single brand that they wanted, whether it was big or small. Harry made it so it perfectly accommodated all different shades of makeup and foundation and all these things. And in the early days, just creating a group of people who love you and are huge fans of the brand, it makes it, you have a foundation to then go across and go into other industries. So yeah, that's kind of how we were thinking about it at the beginning.
I want to jump in. So there's for many people, ShopMy may seem just like, oh, great, it's this amazing platform where the links are really clean, and affiliate marketing has existed for 25 years, and no one's ever created an incredibly beautiful product. People know things like to know it, which I can speak for myself. I've had like a really rough time even following a link. And ShopMy does it better. But let's really break down what ShopMy does because there are many constituents here. You have influencers, as Cameron just said, you almost have 200,000 of your best influencers in the world on the platform. to over here, you have brands of which, I think you've surpassed thousands.
Mhm.
But then you also have consumers. You have normal everyday people like Cameron and I who look at links and find products and product discovery. Walk us through the three constituents and how you guys think about that and kind of what you provide, what ShopMy is really providing them.
Yeah, so the first community that we built for and kind of the foundation of what ShopMy does is it was for content creators to basically monetize their product recommendations. So, I'm sure a lot of people listening know, but for content creators, their main revenue streams are these flat fee sponsored content deals, and then affiliate can be a component, subscriptions, other things like Harry talked about. A lot of influencers go on to make their own brand. So the first kind of product that we provided was a place for them to store that, a place for them to monetize those recommendations, and then to connect with brands. Because basically, this whole industry of affiliate was being facilitated without a direct connection to the brands. And then on the brand side, basically, we have like tens of thousands of brands that we have a commission rate with, and then over 1,000 now brands that they're using our platform to basically grow. And how we talk about it with the brands is basically they've been looking at influencers kind of for the past 10 years as just actors and actresses. And really, what we can help them do is build this community of like a distributed sales force. So, even Alexa, like you have a ShopMy, and if you really like something, you have the ability to just easily create a link and send it to your friends. So, for a brand, as the whole industry of influence kind of has, like, it used to just be, Vogue and the buyers at all these big department stores decided if something was going to be big or not. But that's not how it works anymore. It's this huge group of people, everyone from people with a couple thousand to millions of followers. So for a brand, it's about having to figure out how that works at scale. And then I'll let Harry talk about, the consumer side and circles and kind of how that has come in, because that's really like the third phase of, ShopMy and putting the pieces together.
Harry, I love circles. Talk to me about circles, buddy.
Oh yeah. First, I just want to add a little bit to what Tiffany had mentioned. One of the challenges we have with kind of how the influencer world has worked for the last decade is it's felt very inauthentic in the sense that you're really just promoting something that is being paid to you. And one of our huge aspirations, and arguably is limiting from our growth standpoint, is how much we require authenticity at the core. So, for example, brands can gift their product to new content creators to get them to try it, but we don't allow for forced post. It's just if they like it, they'll post. If not, they won't. And brands ask for that, but we try it. Like we have to restrict it because in the long run, this should be like a truly what you love is what you promote, and we're going to help you earn from it. Not we're going to get you money to promote things you don't like. So, anyways, that's a nuance. And then on the brand side, I think back to your point, Alexa, like the brand side is the hidden gem of ShopMy that no one knows about. Like we're powering the creator programs of some of the most iconic brands in the world. We are on a path towards being the dominant growth channel for a lot of these brands, and we're building everything that requires. And obviously, people on the outside see the content creator side, but if you ever log in as a brand, you'll see the best tool on the market by far for kind of scaling a program. And then the shoppers obviously are the most exciting recent thing. And Alexa, I love that you love circles. Circles is like it's funny because it's like the culmination of all the technological underpinnings of what we've built. Let's say you link to a product at Amazon and someone else links at Revolve and someone else links at Shopbop. Our system we have a huge product graph behind the scenes and teams that manage it. So we know that you're linking to the same product. And that grouping allows us to build this product called Circles where we can rank products by who you actually trust and how many of them promote the product. And it's this beautiful storefront experience, almost feels like your own personal retailer where you're selecting your inner circle. So you're, let's say, 20 people whose taste you really love, and then maybe two friends even. And you come in, if you're searching for a dress for a wedding, you can go find the most beautiful dress curated by your group of people. And it's like this delightful experience where they're finding things that you might want to buy. It's very social, it's very human, and it's very like clean. There's not tons of content in the way. It's just here's the product recommendations. And the spark for this idea in some ways came from like a limitation of the social networks. these platforms are such strong entertainment platforms. That's what they care about because they're ad driven. So they want you to stay on there, get addicted, keep scrolling. And our links were getting lost. And people are following these content creators mostly as, let's say it's stylists or dermatologists to try to get their recommendations. And the only way we could showcase it beautifully was to build our own tool. And that materialized into circles.
First of all, I just to like double click on each of those three constituents. You have influencers, and I think one of the things that Cameron and I have watched the world evolve to is you have major influencers, your biggest celebrities in the world. You also have micro influencers, and as somebody who's backed some interesting new brands personally. I started hearing a while ago, they're like, the most important thing I can do is get to the micro influencer mom in San Antonio, Texas, and make sure my product is on her at drop off. ShopMy is one of the only places where a brand, let's say Gucci, could light up 1,000 moms on a Friday with their product because they know exactly how to get to those 1,000 moms that they want through ShopMy. And that doesn't really exist at all elsewhere. And I think that's incredibly interesting. And in many ways, ShopMy is building the technology, the startup platform for any type of influencer. You really are their home in so many ways, which I find fascinating. And then on the flip side, for a brand, Tiffany, to your exact point, they can do things where they can get new products. They can get people promo codes. Actually, this happened literally yesterday. I was wearing this necklace and someone said, "Oh my God, I love that." And I had a link. This is Bobble Bar. I had a link and I had a promo code, and I was able to just text it to this mom on the street with me and say, "Here, this is the link." She got a discount, and the purchase came through, and it was a win-win-win that didn't exist in the past. I would have had to go find the link, figure out the product, get her cell phone number, text it, and it happened instantly, and there was a promo code. So again, it was a pretty authentic way, but for brands, you empower a sales force in many ways of people who authentically live for your product to be better at sharing how much they love your product. And then Harry, the last piece, the circles, which was obviously a brilliant brainchild from you guys. Cameron and I talked a lot about this, which is if you used to go into Bergdorf or Barney's, you went there because you wanted the curation. They were or Webster, or insert any great brand. They were curating the best of the best, the latest of the latest, and that's how you would want to shop. But as we've moved digitally, there's no way to get that curation as well. And what circles, and I'll speak for myself, what I love is I have 8 people, bigger influencers that I love their taste. I have a number of friends, Tiffany, you're one of them, where I follow your latest and greatest product recommendations, and I will buy 50% of what comes through that channel because it's pre-vetted, perfected for what I need in my life, given that I'm a working mom with 3 kids. And so it really is the future of the way that we want to shop. And because that's what we do. We do it in person typically. Now we can totally do it digitally. What are you seeing from Circles that's exciting, guys?
Well,
Given that it launched not even publicly yet, for the most part, it was sort of a pre-beta launch.
just to kind of double click on what you said about the department store piece, that's basically how we describe it to people, and that's kind of how I think about it because, and there's some department stores or retailers that are still about curation, but most of them now, especially the big ones, it's more about benefits of shipping and returns and getting status. So you don't have the curation. So it's like a blend of all the retailers that you love. And it is so much better than that because it's like all these content creators, and a lot of times the way that we speak about them now, we call them curators. They love shopping and they love like finding things across the internet. It's basically just a feed of things they're finding that they love and want to share.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty in the data is that and it's classic whenever you roll out a new product, again, you're looking for product market fit, and product market fit is pretty much defined as, does anyone that uses the product use it forever? That's really what you're looking for. It's not about anyone dropping off. And we have a lot of forever users, at least it's been, whatever, 2 months. And people will log in every single day, look at these feeds. They're purchasing at incredibly high rates. So we have clear signs of product market fit, and now it's just a game of scaling it, building it to be more accessible by building a mobile app, and just continuing to iterate and make it more personalized over time. I think a lot of the tooling we're working on internally is a lot of the AI personalization side, so we can help you find new curators to follow, and of the things they're recommending, which one should we show you at which time and email you about or push notify you about at some point. So it's clearly off on a good start, and we're excited. I think the way that we think of what we just did is it's kind of three phases of this company. We started with Creator. We're like, we're going to help creators make money. The first product we launched didn't even have a footer. It was like this, whatever, janky little list building app that we thought was great. And it started working. And over time, we've developed it to be like a place where they can earn the majority of their revenue. Brand side, we launched an analytics dashboard that just showed you a few stats, charged $99 a month. Now you can run your entire program. It's as robust as a kind of an OS for operating your creator program works. Circles is our first iteration. We are now committed to, over the next 5 to 10 years, building tools for shoppers who believe in what we believe, that is the future of commerce is curated and it's not impulsive. And I'm hoping over time we're going to see every year we look back and we are almost embarrassed by what we first launched. And this is probably the least embarrassed we've ever been at launch, as Tiffany will attest to.
Yes.
So that's a great segue into, you talk about where these products start and where they end up. And I think what's not maybe clear to all users of ShopMy, given how easy it is to use, is that it's actually a deeply technical product. And so, Harry, can you share more about your approach to building tech and product infrastructure and the intentional choices you're making as you launch these different products over the year that make the user experience for every brand, creator, shopper so delightful?
Yeah, I'll start with the kind of the engineering product side of things. So I would say there's probably two things that have made us as successful as we have been today, and will continue to make us successful. The first is like the quality of our data infrastructure on specifically the catalog side, and it's Tiffany's baby as well. It's the background we had prior to ShopMy. The way we architect our catalog with this product graph has powered everything we've built since. And I can't speak enough for new entrepreneurs. Think of your data systems, really spend the time. At the beginning of ShopMy, I was actually in Ireland and wrote like a 30-page thesis on the catalog and how it was going to change the company. And like spending that time up front, now that we've layered on billions of events, has really moved the needle. The second thing is you have to have like an addiction to the details of user experience. And we have like our internal philosophies on building product and what makes for a great user experience. And just to give you a couple examples, like one of the ones that I live by at least is this idea of a great user experience should minimize calories. And if you think of like a mouse, if you have to drag your mouse 4 inches versus 2, more calories. 2 clicks, more calories. If you add icons that someone doesn't understand, their brain's going to spend some calories to try to understand it. There's no tooltip, spend calories. A great UX minimizes calories, and it's so effortless to use because you don't have to think. And we are incredibly diligent about every UX, pushing it to the extreme of minimizing calories. The second piece that I think makes us unique is we never build a long-term UI on the feedback of first-time users. And I think a lot of early companies are like, hey, I built this thing, let's try it with our team. And the team's like, I don't get that, I don't get that. But it's not about the first day usage, second day usage, it's about the 300th day. You're going to be happy that it was 1 click away, not 2, even if it was more confusing on day 1. And that's why people think of ShopMy as this magical product, because they use it over time and they're like, I can't believe they made that confusing thing because now I get it. And that's where like your engineers, your product people have to trust their instincts more than just the feedback of the team in the early days. So we have this UX philosophy plus this data strategy that together, just as long as you stick to it, continues to build great product. And internally, we say that every next product we build is going to be our magnum opus. And I think Tiffany can attest to this, that you always need to make the next product better than the past product. And if you keep doing that, the bar keeps rising and you just never like kind of lose sight of what makes the company like sing.
Yeah. The number one thing that people say when I, meet them at events, and it's almost like they can't even describe how, but it's like a testament to the way that Harry's built the product. They're just like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's so easy to use. and it's so delightful to use. And I think most people would say, and you too, Alexa, in being a power user, that it's really fun to build and it's easy. It doesn't feel like work in an industry that was so clunky and hard to use. Just bringing, kind of a fresh perspective and building it in a really delightful way.
I want to talk about something that I know we've discussed in board meetings, but as we think about 5 years out from today, and kind of talk a little bit about where the world is going, none of us have to like blink twice to know that we will do more and more digitally, right? People will still shop offline, but as things get easier and more seamless and you can do them 24 hours a day, we are moving to better digital usage of shopping and buying products. One of the things that Cameron and I loved about ShopMy when we met you years ago was with the incredible explosion of AI. The latest stats are that 8,000% X increase, 8,000 in noise online. So random images, random videos, fake content, the explosion is happening. And because we are all human beings who still live in a human world, our lean in the future is subtly happening every month, that we are leaning towards real humans, real people, where we know and trust them. And I'll speak for myself. Athena Calderon, I know, loves ShopMy. She's a friend. I love her taste when it comes to home products and entertaining. We will lean in the future towards real people who we know, whether we know them personally or we know them digitally, that we deeply trust for their recommendations. And as the explosion of just fake news, fake content, fake influencers, where you're like, is this even a real person that I'm following? We will instinctively gravitate back towards people. And you said it well, Harry, which is in so many ways, ShopMy is this incredible mix between it's a social infrastructure for an incredible creator of big and small micro creators as well. It helps brands create their most powerful advocates authentically, really authentically, and activates a sales force in so many ways, which is a performance marketing tool. And then you have Circles, which is this new incredible way to shop that is just, guys, as a mom who spends a lot of money online, it is delightful. It is the only way I want to shop. That's really what you're building, but you're doing it on the backs of authenticity, real humans, real brand. Cameron, I don't know if you want to jump in here and add any of our thoughts, but that's really what's so powerful about ShopMy, is that it's about real people, real humans, that it's about trust at its core. What would you say, Cameron?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the other thing that really stood out to us as this space has kind of evolved, which has just been the way ShopMy has made a delightful experience for creators independent of brands, brands independent of creators, and then just because both of those are so powerful, then the power of the network has been unlocked, and then you've been able to stack on products like Circles, pioneer a category of performance marketing like Opportunities, and so it's been awesome to see the development. I guess a question to you both on that is, now that ShopMy faces, you can experience it both through other social platforms like Instagram, as well as now shoppers directly via Circles, where do you see consumers starting their shopping journeys?
To Alexa's point, it's just from people. It can be your friend, it can be an influencer, a micro influencer. It's just wherever people are talking about product, and even that can be in person, like Alexa talking about the mom at drop off. So it's really, and I think it's been core to how we built the product, is we're not trying to build a destination. We're trying to empower people to easily share their recommendations and for brands to be a part of that. So it happens in so many ways, but I would say one of the biggest growing ways that people are sharing product, of course, is Substack. That's another place where people are sharing links, but also many of the places that I'm sure are top of mind for everyone, like Instagram stories and TikTok and all that.
Can we double click on Opportunities? What are Opportunities, and where did you guys come up with that big idea?
So opportunities are, it's almost like our best. It's the product that we rolled out that is most aligned with what we're trying to build on the brand side, and that's about creator performance marketing. So when we say creator performance marketing, we're trying to merge two worlds: the world of performance marketing, where the value is in the ability to scale. You can put in hundreds of thousands of dollars and deploy it and strategize on how to adjust it to be more effective, but it's inauthentic. Like, you're making the ad for yourself, you're saying, look at me. It's this like push form of marketing. Creator marketing is beautiful because it's authentic. You're going through trusted circles, you're going through trusted networks of individuals, but it's not scalable whatsoever. And you can work with 20 influencers, 20 creators, and you have to pay them huge amounts to actually allocate budget. So opportunities are scaled creator performance marketing. It's the ability to put in $1 million into the system, figure out what 1,000, 5,000 creators you want to work with, and deploy that in a plug and play way to scale your brand through mass promotion. It's only limited to people who have already promoted you. So it's authentic. The audience has already heard about it. This just amplifies that nature, but it's got the same scaling effects that the paid performance channels do. And as we've seen in the last year since we launched it, it way outperforms the standard paid channels. So it's just a matter of time as brands start to pick up that you can start shifting your performance budget from direct advertising to this new method. But yeah, we couldn't be more excited about it.
And Harry, as you think through what you've built with opportunities specifically or in other parts of the product, when you think of the underpinnings of how you're building it, can you talk where you see AI being most impactful?
Great question.
Really good question. I mean, AI is anyone who has a startup or a small company would say AI is proliferated everywhere in the company, whether it's like internal tooling and everything else. I think the nuance for us where it's the most helpful is taste is so hard to quantify, and you really need these like multimodal, looking at images, looking at social content with like the images of the products with the text written on the page, and blending all this like fuzzy data into something that is quantifiable. You can turn into vectors, you can compare to other people. So it allows you to do comparisons on a much murkier world. And that enables things like our recommendation engines and our personalization that we're starting to build in. It's really going to be magical. And it's kind of like commerce was built last 20 years very similarly. There's like your Amazon retailers, you can buy everything. There's D2C through Shopify. Every site kind of looks the same now. And there's going to be this fight and like kind of creative battle to see what does the future of commerce look like? How do you build it? And everyone has AI at their disposal. And it's going to be an incredibly core element to that future of commerce. And I think it's more the personalization side of things. And we're throwing our hat in the ring for it.
Harry and Tiffany, I'd love to hear from both of you. You truly are at the forefront of the creator economy, and we've been hearing about the creator economy for a long time now. But in so many ways, you really are building, you have a shot to build the most powerful product for the creator economy of the next decade. What are your predictions? What do you see? What's obvious to you from your perch of being literally a leader sitting right at the front of the edge of developing product? What do you see, Harry?
Yeah, I think the nuance, and we talk about this a lot internally, is we think of it as creator economy, but we always talk about curator economy. And the type of creator that we work with is much more trusted for their curation than the content that they create. It's almost like they have to create the content to be on these distribution networks that are these channels, but they just want to be sharing links. And we call ourselves internally, we're saying like we're building the infrastructure for the future of curated commerce. We think commerce is getting too flash, buy now, Temu, TikTok, Shopee. We think it should be more intentional. Let's build that future. And curators play a big role in that. So we're hoping over time it's going to be more like curated commerce than it is as much about the content creation, entertainment side of things. Tiffany, do you have
Yeah.
anything
And I
along
think
those?
something we've been talking about, for a lot of the podcast about their brands basically used to have things very separate of they used to have like a customer referral program and then an influencer press affiliate program. And those two things were just very separate, looked at completely differently, run by different teams. Where now as micro influencers have become more popular, they're kind of viewed as one and the same of, some people have like a bigger audience, but even people with private Instagram accounts can drive a lot of sales from their network. So continuing to facilitate that, and then to, you know, go more into the whole curation piece, we've met so many people, you know, in building ShopMy who used to be buyers, used to be editors, and really they are like, they have an incredible eye for finding things. And, you know, they're meeting brand founders all the time and they have access to a lot of things that other people don't. And they don't want to make, you know, a here's a day in my life, or they don't want to post pictures of themselves all the time. So giving them like a platform where they can create this beautiful world of things they love and share it with people, is something that I think a lot more people are going to want to participate in, who may not want to go post TikToks and create all this other kind of content. So I'm really excited about that.
As Tiffany, as you know well, I am somebody who loves to
Yeah.
curate and find great products. And I think one of the things that's magical about what you guys are building at ShopMy is it really leans on, I think, for the product obsessed, the design obsessed, the real experts of category, whether it is beauty products or kids clothing or homeware, which you guys have broken into home and you know, much bigger physical products. The people who are the best at those things love to curate. And Harry, I've actually this is the first time I've heard you really use the word the curator economy, and I love it. Which is, I think there's a natural love of finding the best of the best of new products. And I think one of the things that's been complicated as a consumer is, you know, you rewind 25 years ago, there were probably 15 SKUs per thing, right? Face beauty, you know, face creams, maybe there were 15 SKUs. It was like Dove versus Oil of Olay as I was growing up. What, Tiffany, now there's probably 500?
Yeah.
And so, like, really cutting through the noise is getting harder. And I think that you're absolutely right that empowering people to curate the best of the latest of the greatest is actually a really big service that you can do for the mass tail of consumers who want to go and buy, but don't have time to read 45 reviews coming from 6 different places. And you're really cutting through a lot of that noise. And so, as a consumer, I'm extremely grateful for that, especially given that I need to, as somebody who runs a household, buy a lot of products and I don't have time to sit there and read a ton of reviews, which is why my hack is to find the people I trust them completely, and then let them feed me delightful products. And so one thing I'll just quickly say, Harry, I know I flagged this to you, but one of my favorite things about circles is actually seeing a product that 5 people I follow all trust at the same time. That for me is like a bullseye of like, yes, this product really is A plus versus 3,000 stars on Amazon of strangers who I don't know that they have the same bar of quality that I'm looking for when I buy a product. So it's really incredible the context that it gives me, and then the confidence it gives me when I buy something. So
Totally. And
I
it's
yeah, I love
or
that.
yeah, it's like stress reduction. It's like again, back to like reducing cognitive load. Like if you buy this thing and everyone else has promoted it, there's like a distribution of uh like who made the call in some ways that makes you feel more comfortable with any purchase you're making, versus like I have to be an expert in what I'm going to wear to this event, and also like what I'm going to put on my skin, and like what I'm going to kind of anything you buy you have to be an expert in, versus like distributing that amongst a group of people who can each dig in really deep on one category. And what we see is like there's this delightful moment where everyone feels like I can curate something, and we see it on our team. Like our team curates almost everything. I curate books, and like maybe not fashion, but like I really enjoy the process of doing that, and like that's the contribution I can bring to the collective human system of curation. Um,
I love that. I want to talk a little bit about financing, which I can attest for Cameron and I that we've had a wild number of people hunt us down interested in ShopMy, but you just recently raised a new round, just given your exceptional growth. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you think about capital and how you think about capitalizing the company between now and the next many years?
yeah, the company. I feel like we have such a good business that it's a profitable company in some ways. Like if we were being purely optimizing for ownership or something, we wouldn't need to fundraise. But we just feel like the prize here is so enormously large that I want to take on so many experiments at once. Like, for example, we're going to work with stylists saying, like, what kind of tools can we build for stylists while building for these brands, while trying to build for a different type of brand. And you just need resources and people and like it's just beneficial to have kind of like a war chest of financing to really go about that without getting distracted by these fundraising cycles every single time it comes up.
No, I think just that, like, we've building the business has been the focus. And of course, the financing has allowed us to do that. But my advice to everyone is always to focus on that. And of course, having co-founders is something that allows you to do multiple things at once, because it does become almost a full-time job when you're trying to raise money and also run the business.
One of the things Cameron and I have been really impressed by is obviously you have a third co-founder, Chris, who's fabulous. But you guys have built an exceptional leadership team, and to be able to manage the growth that you've had of just the last few years, few companies have grown as fast and as aggressively as ShopMy, and knock on wood, as seamlessly. And obviously, you guys are people who focus on the details. But a lot of that is because of the strength of the management team you guys have built. Share with us a little bit of your hiring philosophy, and how you think about building a leadership team.
It's definitely something we've learned a lot on the way, and I would say we've gotten better at it as we've grown. And I think just realizing what works for us versus what other people might recommend or think this person is incredible, and oftentimes they are, but there's almost like two sets of things. Are they incredible? Do they have amazing potential? And then can they work the way that we work? And I think that something about our leadership team and, you know, me, Harry, and Chris together, like we have very different strengths and also very different weaknesses. And what has allowed us to build this incredible company is a lot of times dividing and conquering, and also knowing what Harry's an expert in, what I'm an expert in, and just completely trusting each other to go off and do those things. You can do so much more together than you could on your own. So yeah, it's definitely something we're continuing to iterate on as well.
It really is. I mean, to Tiffany's point, it's really about the complementary skill set, and almost it's almost like you want to have almost no overlapping elements to it. It's like every single time something comes in, we know exactly who we should go to. There's never a question. So when you think back to the founding of ShopMy, like I was all about building the product, building the business, focusing on the financials. Tiffany was about just the craft of making it work within the context of creators. She's like as good as it gets in the industry of like understanding how brands can go through content creators. And Chris is just a phenomenal business development person. So Tiffany and I could get lost in building product and making it look beautiful, but Chris would pull us to actually go put it into the world. So the three of us kind of pulled each other to make this thing successful. And over time, we've added the other pieces. Our COO, Anisha, is absolutely incredible. And she cares so much about the health of the organization we're building in terms of mentorship programs and hiring pipelines and all that. And Tiffany and I, it's not that we don't care about it. It's just like, I don't live and breathe it and wake up thinking about it. So we needed to find someone who does. And as you start to fill those gaps, it all works together in the end. And it's unfortunate because sometimes you bring someone in who's absolutely extraordinary, but they overlap too much with something we already have. And therefore there's like some tension or friction.
Yeah. And I think it's about finding people who, it's like the ideal state is people are doing something that they're really good at, and it's creating value for the organization, and ideally something they're enjoying. And I feel like everyone in our leadership team can say that. Like Harry's really excited to, be building everything he's building. Anisha's really excited to be basically running the org. I'm excited to be, kind of like being the face of the branding creator side. And a lot of people have asked me about what our communication style is as a leadership team. And I'm almost like, we're almost so much on the same page that we don't communicate about a lot of things, because we're just like, I know Harry's taking care of that and I don't really need to ask him about it. He doesn't need to check with me. So we've created something that works for us, and I think it probably looks different at every company.
It's been awesome to see the co-founder dynamic be a constant since we've been partnered with you guys. One thing I know we've talked about, Harry, is the importance of action and how strongly you believe in that. And I think you've even written about the need for doing over talking. Can you talk a bit about how you instill that mindset in the rest of the team today?
Love that question. We I mean, when you're a small team, action's everything. You just got to move. And I think the way we do it, and we're arguably a unique company in that the leadership team is not really a layer on top of the company. The leadership team is embedded in the company. And like, I'm taking on projects that we're trying to build as the PM or the engineer. Tiffany's running strategy, like strategic initiatives to try to figure out how do we get into luxury. And when people in the organization see us on Slack active, pushing forward projects, we set the bar of excellence in some ways that we expect everyone else to reach. Versus when you get to the kind of like managerial level, it's like there's the org and then there's leadership, and we've just merged them. And so far it's worked, and who knows how it'll go over time, but people just follow what they see. And if you just set the tone in the organization, it kind of propagates throughout.
And one of our core like values we have that we talked about at the beginning of the year is it's called sweep the floors, and it's basically just the concept of like everyone does the work, and not just because of what that says and it's nice to do, but because it's really important. Like we're not above anything. Like we will get on with customers, we still talk to influencers and brands every single day. And sometimes if I'm, working with our brand success team, how would I know how to be a brand success manager if I've never gotten on with the brand and tried to help them figure out, oh, you're doing 100K a month in sales via ShopMy, we want to get you to 1 million, how are we going to get there? And working with them to figure that out and prepare that, you almost like you have to go deep in order to step back. And I think everyone on our leadership team embodies that. Like it's sort of the player coach mentality.
I obviously love that so much, especially when you're growing as quickly as you are, which is you just need everyone rowing the boat in the same direction to catch it all. I want to end on the quick fire round, which is just a really fun question, which is, can you name one product or brand that was a delight that you discovered because of ShopMy Circles? Tiffany, go first.
So I shared the story with Harry, but the first thing I bought through Circles, I realized that there was this wedding I was going to that I didn't have a dress for, and I went to my circle, and I have a circle of like 90 people that I've built, and I just searched wedding guest dress, and I scrolled a bunch, and I saw this green kind of like long sleeve silk Veronica Beer dress that I just immediately clicked through. They had my size, ordered it, showed up, and wore it to the wedding in 2 weeks. So that was my first and best Circles purchase.
Harry, how have you been? Harry, I know you love books, but how have you been influenced by Circles?
I can't say coming into this company I was the biggest fashionista, and now I've been forced into the world. My first purchase on Circles was Todd Snyder. I've recently been addicted to Todd Snyder and their fall stuff.
Love it.
I love that. I'll end on mine, which is because of my incredibly tight curated group that I love to follow on Circles. I bought a great new pair of Prada flats that I lived in all summer, and they were a joy and delight. Guys, I know we're out of time, but I just want to say it has been such a pleasure getting to watch you build such an incredibly high potential business with such grace and commitment and steadfastness and just incredible hustle. You guys really do work 7 days a week, and we feel it. We're rooting for you in every way, and it's just been such a pleasure to get to watch you guys build this beautiful company.
Thank you so much. It's been fantastic working with you guys too.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and we'll be back again with another episode of Inspired with Alexa on Double. Thank you.